One, all right, you are first, and so our first super chat of the night is going to go to none other than Hawk. For support that shit. But appreciate it. And of course, you're let's say you support funds.
That's one dream. What are your plans for that energy, Panos?
Don't worry about the details, Blanchard. We are making progress.
Presents and getting ready for things like Thanksgiving and Christmas, but we are massively appreciative of that walk. I gotta thank you incredibly for that. It is an amazing thing. It helps us keep this channel running. It helps us be able to pay the bills and keep the lights on in the background. Or we can do this as our full-time job, about 70 hours a week, 7 days a week, without a stop. Still, thank you so much once again. Hope that doesn't press it. It's a good drum that deserves to be small things and appreciation because here so huge thanks to you so much once again. This is incredibly well.
We are locked and loaded, yes? Time to find and fill the last canister. Get your hands on the Strauss counter. I named them after the undisputed authority on dark ether energies. Real
Russian Empire, aka the Soviet Union, frequently at LSA War Academy, worship channel of the solution to stupid media, and so much for the support to Age of Janky help this count. Very interesting question on the entrenchment inside of Russia's Europe's history. And this all goes back to I'm going to here on that Tucker Carlson interview where he's like, yeah, I'm going to tell you a little story, and then he went on for like 40 minutes, but it kind of requires that. We're going to go all the way back to the 13th century. To just quickly explain what happened then, that kind of lays the framework for why it always happens that way now. Back in the time of the 13th century, there was this guy that everyone in the world knows called Genghis Khan.
That's one of the projectors we are looking for.
What exactly does it project?
Europe to pretty much conquer most of the known world.
Neutralize the dark energy surrounding the canister
Area of security.
But it takes some vital. The frequencies are temperament.
Did that get it done?
We won't know, Blanchard, until all three are properly tuned.
It was largely a Ukrainian. The heart of Slavic culture is the Kievan Rus, founded by Vikings in the 900s along the Dnipro River inside of Ukraine. They would branch out from Kiev, considering it was called the Kievan Rus. It's the southern Ukraine, and then they end up stretching out into what's modern-day Russia, the area around Moscow. Took over the Russian area first, took over the Ukrainian area, or at least removed focus. The Russian part of the Kievan Rus was largely subservient to the Mongols immediately. It's not because they were like a weaker or more cowardly people. They largely understood the cards were stacked against them. There was not a lot of people living in that area. It was just infeasible to fight them due to the numbers of the Mongols that had arrived. Not only that, they didn't have a great deal of resources in this area as well. So they bent their knee to the Mongols and largely existed under their rule for the next few hundred years, up until the Duchy of Muscovy pretty much kicked the Mongols out entirely, including the Golden Horde and such things, but that's a little later down the line. However, the Ukrainians inside of the Kievan Rus, which all of these people, I guess you could call them Ukrainians at the time, but the Ukrainians that were actually in modern-day Ukraine, around the actual heart of the Kievan Rus in Kiev, decided that they had enough manpower and enough resources to actually fight back and possibly defeat the Mongols, which is something that a lot of people have believed at that point, but simply hardly ever came true because of the Mongols fought very differently compared to how they fought at the time. It's a big thing. It's a giant rabbit hole that I had to go down to explain that. But just trust me, bro, on that one. They fought differently. No one really could beat them easily or really at all. And for that reason, Mongols decided, under Genghis Khan's command, to make sure to pay back the Kievan Rus of Ukraine, very especially, by pretty much killing everyone down there and burning their cities to the ground. So pretty much anything from the 13th century or earlier than that, Ukraine does not exist. It was all destroyed by the Mongols around that time. And so for that reason, the population actually shifted massively in another direction. Instead of most of the Slavic peoples and most of the Kievan Rus living inside of Ukraine, they were now living inside of Russia because so many of them ended up getting killed inside of Ukraine, pretty much in the genocide that the Mongols made. And so for this reason, for the next few hundred, about 150, 200 years, the Russian princes lived under Mongol rule, which was much more brutal and much more demanding than any kind of feudal system that had existed in Europe up to that point. And so the Russian leaders started to become very cutthroat with each other. They would screw over people below them. They would execute people below them without question. The people above them would execute them if they didn't meet their royal requirements, because this is how the system worked. The Russian princes had to pay a tithe, pretty much, to the Mongols to exist. Taxes, of a sort, is a better way to put it. And those taxes were a specific kind of resource that these regions could produce quite well, and it was different from region to region. But if these princes were not able to pay their taxes, or largely their tributes, to their Mongol warlords, the Mongol warlords would simply come in and kill them. Considering that the pressure was that high to get resources to their Mongol overlords, the Russian princes would kill anyone below them that was not able to meet the quotas, because they were going to cost them their necks. So it created a very brutal form of a government system, completely different than the ones we see here in the West. After the Duchy of Muscovy, as well as kind of like a combination of Nizhny Novgorod to the north, kicked the Mongols out, or their last bit of control, around the 15th century, the seeds had pretty much been planted for the rest of history at that point, that there was going to be a brutal, despotic sort of a regime that was always in charge in Russia. That's why Ivan the Terrible is Ivan the Terrible. That's why pretty much every single czar treated everyone below them like garbage, and it was a very exploitative system on that level. Even the Soviet Union, which was trying to get rid of that, ended up reverting right back into it, because it's ingrained in the very political culture of how Russia exists on a government level. It was so deeply ingrained into the system during that 150-year control that the Mongols had in this area that still exists to this day. And that's why the overthrows are always so rapid and so explosive when they happen, is because there really isn't room to have disagreement in the Russian system, and there's no room to see it either, because everyone knows if you say that it looks like you're not happy with the central government or the very guy at the top, the head honcho, you're dead on the spot for the large part. It's just not allowed. So the murmurings of disliking someone quietly exist in very small circles, and those circles slowly grow over time. And the resentment's never seen publicly. It's all behind closed doors until they decide that they have enough power, and when they do it, they usually know that they have enough power to strike and overthrow either the existing government or the leader that's in charge, like the overthrowing of Gorbachev at the end of the Soviet Union, the overthrowing of Khrushchev at the end of the Soviet Union, the death of Stalin, which led to, Stalin and Khrushchev. All of it was done through a lot of quiet political backstabbing and brutality, because if you do not do it that way, you largely end up just getting killed. So that's why they're always explosive and brutal government changes inside of Russia, because there's really no way to have a more peaceful and democratic change that's kind of not ruled out and spoken about inside of Russia. Their culture does not accept sinners have to be executed. That's how they work, like as a culture. That's why when Boris Yeltsin came in, the Russian White House, their version of the Congress, tried to overthrow Yeltsin and bring back the Soviet Union, and then Yeltsin turned into a dictator because they were trying to be dictators and overthrow him, and he just started bombing the White House and bombing submission while he was still inside the building, and then pretty much installed himself as a short-term dictator, then left, and then Putin came in and dictator that we see in Russia to this day. There's no way the government can change. The Russian Empire, the Soviet Union, and the Russian Federation are practically all the same government, but only different in name. It's always going to be some sort of dictatorship. And so, what that does address that best I can, that's a historical explanation for why that happens. It's a completely different form of system that exists really anywhere else. So, kind of radical, what's the song? Radical, random, right? I'll tell you about the history of the achievement. Right? That's the vote. That wasn't good. That's the action. I'm so scared. Talking to you. I'll tell you. Man, I'd like to know whenever you actually just trying to ask a question. Oh my god. Oh, do you know you work at Chuck E. Cheese or are you a journalist? Anyways, I was like, the blister on the foot. The blister is terrible. Yeah. So you're on like 5 minutes on something, and then he's like, I have a file, you see, of a map that was made by us. Hey, they claimed that we owned this land because we were trying to press false territorial claims against the Polish-Lithuanian Republic. You should see it. It's like, dude. It's like, come on, then he never showed proof for anything else he said beyond that point. That whole thing was a tactic just to make it seem like he was a trustworthy person. And Tucker didn't even look at any of the stuff that he had in that file to see if it was even true. It's like he just like took it out. It's like journalism. Anyways, moving on from that, does like the whole historical side of things with the Russian government. And thank you so much for the support, Keto Janky. I'd like to take a moment to explain why the Russian government systems or self-determining governments, which largely exist because of the special kind of political culture that was created in Western Europe over thousands of years. Really always existing somewhere in the foreground. Anyways, with that, you're on to the last question. So, what is your final question in this segment? Alright, and the last one of this segment is going to go to another channel legend. Someone's been around for ages, and also the channel is called Lots of Work. So, work today for the Nation. And thank you very much, Steve, for that support. We appreciate it very much, of course. It says, here's a question. Take a question from the line, Jeff. Thank you so much for the amazing support, Steve Watkins at work. Still at work, toiling away deep in the mines. And also Steve Watkins is going to be like, I'm not at work, man, but we have to go with the joke. It's a great one. Still, thank you so much for the support, Steve Watkins at work. The channel, thank you for enjoying the channel and supporting it, because folks like you are pretty much the sponsors of the show. We don't have sponsors on these streams that pretty much tell us what we can and can't say. We get to say exactly what we want on the show and how we want to say it. We don't have to worry about YouTube AdSense because we simply don't have that on either. Y'all are the folks who help us to be able to have a voice and be able to have the monetary stability to do this job. Enjoy that. A lot of my friends, a lot of passion into this. Every single night, I think which does show me that the Jake Paul Tyson fight impacted so we'll see that everyone has returned. Also, by the way, to harp on this too much. What do y'all think of the Jake Paul Tyson fight? I didn't even personally watch it, but hearing some stirs out there, they one of the worst fights ever. I do thank you so much once again for the support. Steve Watkins at work. I know that was addressed that early, but we'll make sure to get a question from the chat in your honor. Because Steve Watkins at work, you are one of the old guards and channel legends of the LSA through and through. And so, Matthew, what do we got for a live chat? Killa? Alright, can you hear me? Killa? Live chat? I can. You're live. Get the line. Oh, this live chat question goes to So it says, what was the Russian response to Ukraine? response from what I can see. So from what I'm generally understanding, hearing that there's almost no response to that. I don't know if the Russians just didn't take that seriously or what. Response from Peskov, something like that. So far, so to be honest with you, it looks like the Russians have given no. They're preparing for something ground instead of something about everything. So it's a little weird to see that there has been no so far. So I hope that addresses that fairly well, at least the best I can, because that's about the best that I can get at this moment. And so with that, I hope that it does address that fairly well. Thank you so much once again for support. Steve Watkins, working helping the channel to keep on running. We will be trying to look to see if Russians do make a comment on the statement that was made by a Ukrainian MOD official just a few days ago. Moving on from that and out of the question segment, it is now time for us to get on into the rest of the news. Moving on into the Kursk Oblast, we have fairly decent news to report for the Ukrainian side. The Russians have still been conducting more kill offensives in this area to drive the Ukrainians out of Russia and continue to fail. So no actual efforts, no real progress that's being made on the south. So the Russians are still taking eyeballs today, along with their counterparts that are also in the area. But we will see down there. What's improved? Got hit by the now rolling kind of to a stop. It's bailing out, and one guy almost looked like he got ran over. Yeah, he almost got smashed, man. Flat. They're all now running for cover. So what happened? What happened is, well, I'll tell you what happened. This RPG hit right at the front of the BMP, and the interesting thing about the BMP of like really any APC is that the engine is in the front of the vehicle. So his RPG slammed right through the side plate of this armored personnel carrier, right into the engine, and completely eviscerated the thing. The engine was dead as soon as this hit landed, and that's why you see that the vehicle pretty much is out of control at this point and just slowly grinding to a stop and going off the road as well, because the driver has lost all control of the vehicle. The driver might not even be around at this point. Well, no, actually it looks like he may be trying to climb out there. Yeah, he looks like he might be. Can't really tell for certain if he's a steamroller. It's just going slowly. A steamroller everything into town until it runs out of gas. Once it got hit, you just heard backing up or something like that, just very slowly already. Driving parking stall, but moving off the main where things go, we also got to see them getting more Russian forces because, alas, between that last clip, which probably was in the past recorded 36 hours, which is in today's clip, and today, snow has fallen in Kursk. And so now it really does look like the Battle of Kursk. And so here's the clip. It's a Russian pickup, and that's a Russian soldier right there. And he didn't even do anything. He just looked up and was like, oh, hello. Look at him. He's just like, oh, I hit it. I guess he thought the drone was going to outrun the drone. He looked very confident, but, you know, he should have known as he saw it creeping up like that. This isn't going to go well. Like, jump out or something. Like, you're better off, like, breaking a leg than taking a direct drone hit. Yeah, I would say so. Also, that little, like, electronic warfare system that they have on the roof of that truck didn't really do them that much good, did it? Now, it's probably a phony anyway. They probably, like, bought it off of eBay. It's probably a diamond. Damage again. It did blow up right on top of the pickup truck. But moving on from that, of course, Bolshoi Soldatskoye, where the legendary battle between the 225th Battalion of the Territorial Defense Forces and the 810th Naval Infantry Brigade is going on down, we were able to see that the Ukrainians were still hitting Russians in this area. And so here's the clip. Oh, it's one of those little Desert Cross ATVs. Oh, they got it. Check it, and it's toasting out there. Oh my lord, what a fire. Man, this car's going fast. Dude, that thing cooked. Let him cook. That should cook. And the Ukrainians did let him cook. But you now see another MPV drone coming in. It's targeting some kind of it looks kind of like a lot of Neva, but it slammed into the side passenger door, and we were able to see that later on, this thing had cooked as well. To cook. Or as Chef Cousteau said, one kind of takes literally as long as you're inside side of the bottom.
What the fuck is
We
over
can
there?
see here that will also be targeted as well. The Russians have already made it into the fields. Oh, wrong! Shield wipers were on that. You can see it. Like the drones. Shield wipers were still on. Now we have to turn it off. How far did the cover be on? Like, no. See the damage on the front way. Some, I don't know what that is. Looks like maybe orange. Also, Connor Van Adventure said, how fast are these drones that we're watching the video? They've got to be going. It looks like they're going probably about 60 miles an hour. Yeah, that's an accurate guess because these trucks are moving pretty fast. These drones are overtaking the trucks, so they're pretty quick. And they are super quick. We do believe that they go about 60 miles an hour, but the damage that was imposed today was a pretty good bit, considering that snow usually starts to slow down combat activities.
How to get on ice cream roof zombies.
Precedents laid over the course of the war. But we were also able to see is that the Russians ended up hitting the flanks in another direction. Once again, this is right before the snowfall that we saw in the first clip, so this is probably about 36 hours old, but still was published today, so it becomes a part of today's news cycle. But here is several Russian vehicles closer to Gary, or Gurki actually, hitting some anti-tank mines. It's always a fun time to watch this. There goes one of them. Schmuck! To the corn! Children of the corn. Oh. It's a freak on the leash. Pieces went flying off that on. Yes, it's not only a group of Chechens, it's also an armored car. You know it's a good armored car. Look, you can see one of the vehicles right there just got hit. Now here comes another one. Oh, cooking! And there's a second one right behind it. Oh, and it's cooking as well. This video is just lagging and like I feel like our videos like buffering how the video is focusing them all out there. I'm trying to think the Alabama Wi-Fi is just crappy all the way around because like I'm still having lag here and also you're having lag on Twitter as well. It's kind of weird. No, I'm not having lag on Twitter. The video is this is how the video looks. Well, my Twitter's lagging. I don't know about yours, but mine is. I tell you, man, we're hooked up to Ethernet. At this point, I think how it's crap. Oh, look at this thing. It's going through the help. You'll do what you're told. You'll do what you're told. Oh man! And speaking of which, you know we got to do it, man. It's that time of the night. I completely forgot about this. We have to go and check the census for Hot Dog Man. You know, because I wonder how many citizens of Hot Dog Land are left. You know, because you were just speaking of you'll do what you're told. Oh, it looks like he's still hovering around that same number. You'll probably lose another 100 here in a week. But we also got to see man holding on to him for dear life. I can't let them go. Don't leave me, please. Oh man, guess what? I'm gonna run another stream. Aw, man, it's going to be like 7 hours long. Aw, man, and at the peak, there's going to be about 170 people there. Aw, man, I cried and cope harder. Aw, man. But moving on from that, we were able to see a Ukrainian Uragan. This is a Ukrainian Uragan, kind of a little rare, actually, firing off its rockets at Russian forces in Kursk.
Завірено неньку Україну, татарам та брата, Курська область, будувати. Слава Україні! Ловіть, сука, ублюдки!
Any second now, they will start. That's very impressive. I like what throws up chunks of mud from the backblast. Mud and dirt. And really just vaporized, like atoms of dirt as well. You're gonna put a little dirt in their eye. Man, they're gonna put some dirt in their eye. But beyond that, seeing that clip right there, and we're now moving on from the area of Kursk and on into the location unknowns, as we were able to get a couple of interesting clips right here. We were able to see a
Okay, that canister by the gas station should be accessible now.
Ukrainian recon drone was
Good. Let's get to work filling it.
Can show them off. Here they come with the Leleka, and they're now setting up this launching post.
Dark elemental particles can be hazardous to your health. Let's neutralize them. That receiver dish under the canister means there are particle projectors nearby. Find them.
And we now see here the Leleka on its way, finding Russians and reporting them back. It then slammed by Ukrainian artillery in the middle of the night. The drill. Your job is scary. And just to go along and wait for salt and pepper to land on their head. It's like something like that. Not long that it's long that what's the other saying? It's a thermal flight level or flight bomber telegram side. Or they'll say something like Earth is round and sky from something like that. Dude, that one sounds like a Chinese proverb. Like one of those things you hear at the workplace, you know, like Earth is round or something like that. It's like, yes. It's like, I think that's right. You also got Earth Angel and they work overtime. Definitely, if it takes out. Man, never truer words have been spoken. Until we were able to see the 82nd Air Assault Brigade training him. Boy, look at him go. Wearing the yellow safety vests of glory and clearing buildings one by one. Great stuff, and hopefully they're still doing well in the training. But moving on from that into the next clip, you guys can see the Russian Federation alone for 30 minutes, 24 hours. My God, sticks podcast. Not records or anything like that, but the troop losses are staying very high. And that is not good for the Russians. No, not good at all. But tell us more. Man, I'm telling you what, them losses of juice. 1,650 Russian soldiers have been wounded and killed over the past 24 hours, along with 26 APCs, 69 supply trucks, nuts, 8 battle tanks, 28 artillery pieces, 28 drones, and 6 Bobcat skid steers. According to Ms. Nisa, for the record, 1,650 Russian personnel wounded and killed. The highest troop loss. This is approximately the average. 70 losses in a week. Some stuff. Shout out to and on that, all the guys before, sounds like we're launching the area of Moscow. We got a pretty look at one of the Ukrainian decisions in the town today. Whoa, is that long music out on my watch? No, I have to. Except for sick beats made by our own work and our own skill. Let's talk about the sausage. Where does it come from? Why is it and what is it? Where does it come from? Have you seen that sausage? Have you ever seen that though? What was that, hot dog man? No, dude, I'm gonna have to pull up a clip for you, man. This is a crazy guy who's like, let's talk about sausage. Talking about butter sausage. Why is he here? I don't know. Let me see if I can go find it, man. Let's talk. Yeah, there we go. Sausage, there it is. Oh, Lord, dude.
Your HID showed up fancy. Don't make me regret it.
So while this goes let's talk about sausage. So here we go. Let's talk about your cable racer war.
Canister's still empty.
Talk about sausage.
Language, Blanchard. This is only a minor setback.
What about buttered sausage? Like, it sounds like Gary Busey. I think it is. Yeah, it is him. Oh, it is, you know. But dude, it's like, what the hell is wrong with him, man? Like, he's like, let's talk about buttered sausage. Let's talk about buttered sausage. What is he doing? Why is he here? Give him a face. And actually, Gary Busey saying that.
Gateway portal
What looks in the
stabilizing.
video? Like, is there like something actually that they show?
High value automatic.
So I can't like show it, but I can let them. This is like a thing. So that could work, but I can't show the clip. Still, that well, yeah, that was a. So
Altitude stop. Ease into an
Bravo Zulu, that's the last chance for good.
Come back here and let's finish
I
this.
thought you didn't say get it in my face. But moving on. Woods.
Thanos, when this is over, we'll need you to come in for debrief. That's an order, copy.
Well, Blanchard, you have your orders, and I have mine.
Well, there was one hell of a
That
clip right
canister
there.
won't last long.
Actually,
Bring
did not
it back
watch
here,
it that
quick.
far to see that it exploded. I watched it until he aimed the machine gun. I was like, okay, he's just going to lay down some machine gun fire. I didn't know that a round slammed so close nearby that it literally flung the camera down to the floor. But moving on from that into Severus, we also get to see a tank heading to the front. And that's the end of the clip right there. It's still showing just one of those tanks.
Activate the simultaneous dimensional gate.
Which got some yard. The entire Russian platoon.
Do this right, and the SDG will unleash a neutralizing energy wave.
Ask a Russian very quiet.
And then, it's bye-bye, Dark Ether. That's right. Kill those undead bastards. Kill them all. Bingo! Every new kill empowers the SDG. Trust me, we want that orb to keep growing.
Things looking like you just saw a hidden free ball. It's like the wrong board, the wrong What's up the wall? But don't worry, folks, that bit wasn't kind of also, man, I just want to make sure that we clarify this because there's a slight stir. Someone out there is saying that Iran is getting bombed. Like, right now, is it? Can you tell us, like, from your phone, looking on Twitter? Is it? So let me tell you here, is Iran getting bombed? That's the big question of the night. That's the question we're wondering about. Is our the tensions are really ramping up right now. It looks like, from what I can tell, considering some of that information,
Keep feeding the SDG. Make that sphere even bigger.
well, it never is that. So, God. Let me see. Let me check this. Let's see. 1 second. Where's that thing? See, there's some people come in, man, and they just start saying stupid stuff, and I'm trying to see like, make sure to look out for them. Someone says something like, what do you want to say? It's armed forces tonight at all. Someone came and said, wait, wow, it's like, you can't be saying anything like that. So, Manny, that appears to be the bomb strategy. That's kind of say something. Certainly people riled up because they don't know what he said. So we see him saying that, and we never even said anything close to it, just banned him on the spot. Moving on from that, let me go see. Let's see. 1 second. I'm going to go check this. So, well, maybe I'm not gonna lie, it doesn't even look like sources. Well, that source is live. Looks like they're saying plane, so that may be like typos with the area.
Max ammo.
You just heard this guy on the ground. So check this out. We were able to see the friggin' 28th Brigade, which is in the area of the city of Tourette's. Whoa. Oh. Man, from work. Man, telling you what. Someone said, you need somebody who's going on the internet and tell lies. I know, right? For lies, but stuff for lies. Pretty high piece. Wow. train was what, like 2 weeks in a row or something? Everybody gets coming to live to talk about, what do you think about that train got hijacked? I'm like, what? It's not for like 1800 or something like that. It's 2024. And what are they talking about? A train getting hijacked. Train, like, someone rode up the fancy next to the train on horses, jumped up the train through the conductor, drove the boring train. It's like every single day there was something. Dead, toxic tanks, some parties,
just like you said it would.
Bombs, you know, entirely cheaper than sold and transported across the border by train, and they all surrendered after they crossed the border.
Alpha
Completely
Team, how
crazy
copy?
as stuff.
Somebody
Went
tell
on
me
for
what
like
just
2
happened.
straight weeks. And like,
Any station this net.
like
What is your
just to tell you all
status?
this is always coming
You've
from
heard
channels
them.
like
I
nuclear
swear.
bombers flying. It's always
No interruptions for this
one guy
next
in Ukraine just took over a train in Reagan Heights and they're driving for 5 or something. There are 2 channels that do that. And after we started doing
Thank
that,
you,
all
my friends, for
all my
volunteering to take my
credit
place here.
then plummeted.
Or,
So,
in
it wasn't
your
really high at the
parlance,
start,
thank you for
to be
being
honest, but
voluntold.
it went down to literally
Now,
straight zero.
if you
But
will
moving on from
excuse
that
me, I
is
have
the
a few
ground
scores
unit.
to
We're also
settle.
able to see the Ukrainian 97
Bye-bye.
fighting around the area,
Doggy
trying to get
bird.
Russia to surrender. He didn't, so the fight kept going. So it flew. Still smelling firing his AKM right. He's yelling in Russian. And that's still very interesting to see some of the fighting on the ground.